Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Hello, and to Let's Sip and Talk with Freema. So tonight, this evening, we are doing part two with Banky Pound. Last night, we seen how, well, not seen, but he went through, he reminisced about how he grew up and, may have got a little off track somewhat in his teenage years. So tonight, we're talking about when he was arrested, unfortunately, and did 33 years in prison. So, Banky Pound, welcome back.
Glad to be back. I appreciate you.
I
Shout
appreciate.
out to Alan Williams. Shout out to Prince, and shout out to TBP, man, for supporting me. I hope y'all here tonight, man. Let's support. Let's support.
Absolutely. They're definitely in the building or in the live, however we want to say it. You have a true support system. Thank
Yes.
you guys. We really appreciate it for coming on tonight. We really appreciate that. So, Banky, just a little going back to yesterday really quickly. You were sentenced at age 20. Is that right?
Yes.
20 years old. And for the ones that may not have tuned in last night, what were you in prison for?
I was incarcerated in 1987 for robbery and murder. I was subsequently sentenced to two life sentence, 115 years. I ended up serving 33 years straight. As I said, 12,345 plus days. Um, I went in 87. I came out in 2020.
Mm.
I've been out a month from 2 years.
Wow. So let's just go ahead and get started. The day that I really don't know how this works. So was there a trial? Was there, they just came and picked you up? What was that day like for you?
Well, both of those happened. Both of those things happened. They came and picked me up, locked me up, told me I was formally being charged with this, that, and the third. Then they piled on some more charges. And, I ended up going to trial. As I spoke in my YouTube and to you, I had a co-defendant. That was somebody else who was actually a part of the crime who was there with me. So the co-defendant had already made a plea deal.
Mm-hmm.
So he made a plea deal, and for him to get a certain amount of time, and for him doing that, he agreed to testify on me. So he testified on me and put all the blame on me. I didn't, admit to anything. So they say, oh, well, he's being hard or he's trying to be tough. So they give me all the time and send me away off the penitentiary. I didn't know the law. I was uninformed, misinformed, because that's what happens when you young and you don't know what you're getting yourself into. I was one of those people. I didn't know what I was getting myself to. I didn't realize the consequences of my actions. I knew that I personally wasn't hurting anybody, scaring somebody and yelling at somebody, and I didn't know what the consequences was. Like I told you last night, you could take a gun and you can point it at somebody and you can demand their money, and that's armed robbery. For that alone, you can get a life sentence. So people need to know that out there. Young people need to understand that out there. It doesn't matter whether you hurt somebody. You actually, well, I'm assuming it's like this everywhere, but I know for a fact in Virginia, you actually can get more time for what you could have done than what you actually do.
Wow.
I've known dudes who've got more time for conspiracy to commit than dudes who have actually committed.
I don't understand that.
The law is tricky, man. It's tricky. And when you don't know it, it's nothing that you need to be playing with. I mean, in this common sense, you got lawyers that go to school for what, 8 to 12 years to know the law. But they expect you to know the law, and you ain't been to school now yet.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just a tricky situation. It's a situation that you don't want to put yourself into, period. You just don't want to be part of it.
So the judge said 33 years, or is that how it went?
No. Judge said 2 life sentences, 115 15 years,
Mm.
which could be just that. It could be forever. I didn't have to get out. I had to actually make parole. But see, that comes along with the misinformation. Once I, actually went to trial and was found guilty, or had to take a plea bargain, because at the time when I was going to court, they was just coming in effect with the what they got in Virginia. I don't know if they got it everywhere now. It's called a 3-strike law. Whereas if you was charged with the same type of 3 offenses that was felonies, then they can hit you with the habitual offender law, which means that you would fall under no parole.
Right.
You couldn't get parole at all. So if you got 50 years, you got 50 years. You know what I'm saying? If you got a life sentence, you never went up for parole. You never get out. It was no chance, no possibility. So my lawyer was telling me that at the time that I was going to court, that this was a new law that was just coming out. So he was telling me, well, you've already been convicted of this portion of the crime. So if you don't take the plea bargain with what they're offering you right here, then
Right.
if you just can get convicted of one more, then you gonna fall under the habitual offender where you will never get out.
Mm.
So it was more or less my back was against the wall according to what was being told to me. You see what I'm saying? But like I say, when you don't know the law because you ain't never been in trouble, your family don't know the law because no one has been in trouble. You the black sheep, you the only one. So
Right.
everybody is misinformed and ill-informed. So we got to go by what this person is supposed to know the law is telling us. So he's telling me, you never been in trouble before. You're a first-time offender. If you just plead guilty to this and you go in, you will go up for parole in 12 years. You stay out of trouble, first time offender, you more likely to make it. And this is what I'm being told. This is what my family is being told. So I'm thinking that this is my best option. So this is what I do.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But I ended up going to prison and finding out, all of this was,
Yeah.
misinformation. Oh, I didn't even go up for parole till after I was in prison for 18 years. You understand? And far as people making first parole, that was my first time going up for parole after 18 years. And as far as people making first parole in the 33 years that I was in prison, I might have seen 1 or 2 people make first parole. 1 or 2 in 33 years. So all of that information that they was giving me from the beginning was false information.
False.
False
Whew.
information.
Stuff said, how did you feel when the judge said that? 115 years.
Don't forget the 2 life sentences
The
in
two
front.
life.
Yeah. I felt like I didn't even know nobody can live twice.
Right.
2 life sentences. I thought you only had 1 life.
Mm.
It didn't even register with me. I couldn't even comprehend that. It wasn't even real. Only thing I was listening to was what the lawyer was saying was that you only got to do 12 years. That's just that's name. That's a
Right.
namesake. But you only have to do 12 years. So I'm listening to him because he's supposed to be the one who knows. He's supposed to be the one who has the perfect information or what they're telling me to do. He's advising me. So he said, don't pay attention to that. Just if no matter what, if you got 2 life sentences, 3 life sentences in Virginia, when you got anything over 48 years, you go up for parole in 12. This is what he told me.
Right.
Didn't apply to me.
And
It didn't apply to me.
mm.
Didn't apply to me. So, like I said, I went up. I believe if I'm not the first time I ever went up was it was either 18 or 19 years before I first went up at all. And then when I did first go up, I got not only did I not make first parole, I got deferral, which means that they say, oh no, not only do you not make it this time, but we recommend that you don't even come see us no more for 3 more years.
Wow.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So and normally when you go up for parole, you go up the first time. After that, you go up annually every year.
Oh.
But they had just came up with a thing they call a deferral where they can defer you for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, saying that, oh, well, we don't think you should make it right now. And, looking at the time you got and what you're doing, we don't even need to see you for 7 more years,
Mm.
8 more years, 4 more years. And this is what they told me the first time that I went up. We'll see
Wow.
you in 3 more years. So, I went up the first time, and the information that my lawyer had told me that I would probably make it, that was false. And not only did I not make it, I was not going to see them again for 3 more years. So you talk
Mm,
about 18, 19, 20, 21 years I'm in prison before I even go up for a second opportunity to
right.
release, So
So they take you once the judge say what he says, that's it. You're walking off. You're not there's no turning back at this point, right?
no,
Like going in.
no. Once the judge, boom, bangs that gavel and they say, this is the amount of time that you got to do. This is it. Everything else has to be legal. Everything else has to go through the court. Everything else has to be filed with briefs and appeals and documentation and everything. Other than that, whatever is said in there that day, what you get, that's law. That's law.
Wow.
That's
So
it.
did you have to switch
Excuse me.
like once they and I know I'm about to sound real crazy, but I want to know
Yeah,
like so is there jail is like your county jail, right? But if you're
yeah.
going to prison, do you go straight to prison or do you have to sit in your county first?
You like with me, you may have to sit because, like I say, everything is paperwork. So you
Hmm.
got to sit and wait for the paperwork. I think once I got convicted, I think it took maybe 2-3 weeks, and they came and got me, and boom, took me off to prison. First place I went receiving Southampton. First place I went, from the jail. So yeah, they coming to get you because now you're not the jail's responsibility. You are actually a ward of the state. So they supposed to get you as soon as possible. But you are actually a ward of the state now. It's nothing no one can do for you. That's what I was telling you last night. For these young dudes out there, you have to, pay attention to where you receiving your information from.
Hmm.
The people who love you versus the people out here on the street who don't, give a poot about you when
Right.
it come to shove. Your buddies, your friends, your homies, they can't pay your bail. They can't pay your bills. They can't put a roof over your head. They can't bail you out. They can't do none of that. And even if they could, they not going to do none of that. You see what I'm saying? So once you get in that position where you done already put yourself in a position where you in jail, you done went to court, you done got convicted and all of that, it's over for you. Your mama can't help you now because you should have listened to your mama at first. And that's what I tell people. I say, when you want to know what's really going on and you want to know who you really trust, not what you think in your mind, let's go with reality. When you get in trouble, and you locked up and you got one call, who gonna be your 911 call?
Right.
Are you gonna call your buddy? You gonna call the dude you've been hanging out with, or you gonna call your mama? You
Hmm.
know, you gonna call somebody
Yeah.
go answer that phone and help you. So I
Mm,
told you when the push come to shove, who you were calling your 911 call, that's who you should be listening to and getting your information from
absolutely.
because that's who you trust. You see what I'm saying? Your
Yeah.
911 call should be the same person that you take your information from because you know that this person loves me for me. They
Right.
have my best interest at heart. They have my welfare, my best welfare at heart. These people out here that you listening to on the street, man, they don't know no more than what you know. And they don't care no more about you than the next buddy that they hang out with at that time.
Right.
And we need to understand that, man. When we young, we need to share this information. We need to tell these young kids that because, like I told you, when you get in there, it ain't nothing mama can do for you then.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Chaos said, how many times did it take you for you to get parole?
Man, do the math. I went up the first time in
That-
2000. I think 2000. I've been locked up 18 years, so I think the first time I went up was like 2005. I didn't make it till 2020. So you talking about 15 times I went up, and all of them was turned down, no, 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 until they just finally just said yes. And it was a blessing, man. I still feel blessed to this day, you know.
Hey, Chrissy, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. She said, how does it feel to still answer to a parole officer?
It feels better than still answering to COs every day.
I can
You
imagine.
know, it's a big difference. Um, a parole officer out here still has it's still you still feel the weight on your shoulders, and I'm working towards trying to get up off of that, but you still feel the weight on your shoulders. But it's a vast difference from being inside every day.
Right.
See, the difference of being inside every day, you have no control of no aspect of your life. You move when they say move. You go where they say go. You lock up when they say lock up. You eat when they say eat. You sleep when they say sleep. Everything you do is microcosm. You in is, it's right over top of you. You see what I'm saying? So when you out here, that is, even if you still got a parole officer, that's still minimized by 95%, because this is someone you may see once a month, someone you may talk to every now and then, but you still move freely in the world as you see fit to. But in the prison, it's not like that. And that's what I tell these young fellas, bro. If you like, anything that you love, anything that you enjoy, just scratch that off the table if you planning on going to jail or prison, because that's what they're going to take away from you. Everything that you love.
Everything.
Everything. So if you want to live like that for, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years without everything that you love, everything that you like, everything that you enjoy, then prison is where you need to be.
Mm.
Because that's what life is like in prison. Every day, and you get no breaks. It ain't no, I'm tired, I can't take it no more. Today is, give me a break, I'm sorry. No, none of that don't work.
Are y'all able to, when you were there, like, okay, so you got to get up bright and early, I'm assuming, or can y'all lounge a little bit? Like, are y'all able to go back and nap, or?
At one point in time, they let us get up when you wanted to get up, and if you didn't want to go eat, you ain't had to go eat. You could just lay in your bed all day. At one point, they even changed that. Now you have to get up every morning. You have to make your bed. Some prisons even have inspections where they're checking and making sure your fingernails is not too long, making sure your hair is cut, making sure you clean shaven. They doing that every morning. And if you go get back in your bed, then you're gonna receive a charge, and you possibly can get locked up in segregation. You have to get up in the morning, make your bed up, clean your room. Same thing your mama telling you every day right now if you're a teenager or if you're a juvenile, and your mama telling you make up your bed, clean your room up, go to school, get some good grades.
Right.
Don't be hanging around with these old dudes that's out there that's stuck. Don't do all of it. They're gonna tell you the same thing in there. So you
Mm.
can listen now by choice,
Right.
or you can listen later by force. Now, choice, people who love you. Later, force, people who get a paycheck.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
care nothing about you.
Wow.
Same message.
Pamela said people of color, especially us blacks, don't have the money a white person has to fight our cases, period. We can't afford a decent lawyer that will work for you.
Absolutely. It's no coincidence that rich people, get charged with almost the same thing, and probably don't go to prison or get just a minimal amount of time, or either probation or parole. But
Mm-hmm.
see, that's a problem within the system and within itself. You see what I'm saying? Because why should you have to be punished even more just because you don't have resources? So is it about resources, or is it about the law?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Then you got to put it on the scale. Is it about the crime, or is it about how much money you got? So am I punishing you for what you did, or am I punishing you because you
Because
can't pay?
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's a bigger question that need to be answered by other people that's sitting in power positions, because you have several people who have the same. I was actually locked up with a dude that was an heir from a rich family. He was an heir for a rich family, and he was a white guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he had like well, I would say he was accused of like 3 rape charges, right? Four, as a matter of fact, 4 rape charges. He had 4 years, a year for each one of them.
What?
I was actually in the block with the same guy was in the same block with me, who was charged with 1 rape, and he received 2 life sentences in like 40 some years.
Oh my God.
And they was going to trial at the same time. Ended up in the same prison in the same block with me. Now you do the math to that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just how the system is. It's something that was happening before me. It's something that's going to probably happen after me.
After, yeah.
Right. But it's something that needs to be addressed. But nothing is going to be addressed until people, collectively address it and stop listening to the propaganda what they feed you, because they're only going to feed you what they want you to eat.
Right.
But they're not going to give you the whole story until you start asking questions. And it's not really affecting people until it affects them personally, until they got a brother, a son, a nephew, or uncle, or somebody who goes through it. And then you will start to look at it differently, and you will see it from a different perspective.
Absolutely. Is that Kishma James? She said, where did you get your misinformation from? I believe you said your lawyer, right?
Misinformation from my lawyer, misinformation from growing up around my peers that I'm hanging around with, in the streets. When I first got I got locked up for robbery. When I first got into robbery, it was because I was hanging around with a dude that came from New York to DC, and that was what they was doing up there. So we was young, and he telling me, oh man, we could just, point a gun at somebody. We ain't got to have no bullets in there. They gonna give you the money. Ain't nobody get hurt. La 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 la. That's, he don't know what I just told you.
Right.
You can do that all day. You can take an empty gun and point it at somebody and take their money, and you get caught. You can get a life sentence. Period. That's just reality. But he don't know that. He misinformed. So he misinformed me. So now I'm taking misinformation as fact, and it's not. You see what I'm saying? But the only one that's going to pay for that is me.
Right.
Right. He's not going to pay for the information he gave me. You see what I'm saying? So, like I say, misinformed people misinform people. So it's our job, when we know better, to do better, but also to teach better.
Absolutely.
To give that information back to the young kids who don't have that. Because a kid can go out there and make a mistake just because he misinformed, not knowing what he faced, and ruin his whole life.
Michelle said, could you have appealed it?
I could have, and I did, and it wasn't no better. It wasn't no better. It was not no better. Let me tell you something. I heard this when I was locked up, and I know this to be true now, but when I first heard it, I didn't understand it. They say once you're convicted, no matter what your crime is, and you're locked up, they say that right there alone is one of the most difficult things to reverse in the world, period. Because you got to understand that these people have already convicted you in a court of law. So they are in an authority position. You're talking about judges, lawyers, prosecutors, everybody. No one wants to admit that they was wrong. No one wants to admit that they made a mistake. No one wants to admit that they over-sentenced you or anything like that, because that opens it up for lawsuits.
Right.
And they don't want to deal with that. Now, let's back up a little bit. When I told y'all when I was first going to trial, and they said the new law was coming up about the 3-strike law, which my lawyer told me to take a plea bargain because I would fall under this and I would never get out. Now, fast forward all the way till right now, present day, you have dudes getting out of prison right now because Virginia misapplied that law. For all of this time, for 30 years, Virginia misapplied that law. That law was intended for you to have a charge, not 3 charges. You could get locked up with 5 charges. So they were saying if you got locked up and you got 5 robbery charges, you fall up under the habitual offender because you got 3 or more, and they was giving you no parole. That is not how the law was written. The law was written as if you come in there, you can have 5 charges, but this is your first time in court. If you get out, go get another one, come back, get out, That's how the law was intended to be applied.
Mm.
Virginia did not apply that the whole time. They got dudes that's been in prison right
Oh,
now for 25, 30 years. They're letting them out now each and every day, because they misapplied
'cause-
that law. Each and every one of those dudes could sue them, but they're letting them out under the conditions that you will not forge a lawsuit against us.
mm,
You
mm.
see what I'm saying? This is, but they saying this is justice though. And these people done did 25, 30 years under a false law. A
And
false law.
and yeah, I want to go ahead and get out. So now I'm not going to press charges. I'm not going to,
Right. And who would not take that deal because you've been gone 25, 30 years,
yeah,
just saying to yourself, man, this
I'm
is
ready to go.
this freedom. You see what I'm saying? And yeah, so it's a lose-lose, man. It's just a lose-lose. That's why I tell these young cats, do the right thing, man. Just
Right.
do what you gotta do. No
Oh,
matter how hard it is, do what you gotta do. Is better than the alternative.
yeah.
Trust.
Kishma said, what was your mind? I mean, where was your mind knowing you were leaving your young child behind? What was on your mind, excuse me, Kishma, knowing that you were leaving your young child behind? That must have been a heavy feeling that day to carry.
Very, very heavy, man. Very heavy. Um, Not only was I leaving my young child behind, I had a daughter already, and I actually had a son on the way.
Mm,
So it was all of that going on with the reality of what you got to face right now and the amount of time that you have to face it, the disappointment that you cause for your family, the disappointment you cause your mother, the disappointment it just was a smorgasbord of feelings. But all of that has to be compartmentalized as well, because once you get inside them walls, now you got to worry about surviving.
mm.
You have to worry about surviving. So your whole perspective has to shift in order to survive. You
Like,
know,
say survive. Are you meaning like how we see on TV? Like people really be wanting to try to fight you or take food. I don't know. Like is that real? Like they really, really,
is is
really.
is is I can assure you, it's realer than anything you've seen on TV.
Oh God.
TV is fictional. This is real. This is actually real. And I tell people all the time, it's nothing you've seen on TV. It's nothing that I seen on TV. And once you're in prison especially for as long as I was in prison, I watch TV every day.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing I've seen on TV. It's nothing I've seen in a movie that can even compare to a real prison life.
Wow.
It's nothing, and it's like they can only give you a perspective of what someone else heard or what someone else said. It's the same thing what I say. It's
Mm-hmm.
only a perspective of what I've seen and what I've experienced. But it's just like you can eat a meal, or I can eat a meal and tell you how good it is until you go try it, and you go try it, but you can have a totally different
Right.
experience. You know what I'm saying? But I know for a fact that prison is I don't think it's humanly, I don't think it's built for humans.
Really?
I really don't. I just don't. You know what I'm saying? Because you and it's a strange thing because they hire humans to work there. They hire regular people to work there, but somehow they brainwash these people that they are desensitized to how they're treating you, how
Mm.
they're looking at you, how they are, dealing with you. They don't even look at you as human no more. And this is coming from a regular person who never worked there before. Then they get a job, and within a certain amount of time, they're so brainwashed that they look through you, past you, over you, like you're not even a human.
Wow. Do
You
you
know,
think they teach them to be that way so people won't be so easy to be persuaded to do things or bring in contraband, have sex with the inmates,
this is what they tell them. This is the reasoning they use for telling them this is why you should do this. All inmates are con artists. All inmates are gay. All inmates are drug dealers. All inmates want you to bring drugs. This is what they drill in their head to them when they get them a job. Now I know this firsthand because officers have told me this. Officers that got cool enough with me to speak to me have told me this. You know, this is what they're drilling in their head when they're getting the job, when they're getting hired. You see what I'm saying? So this is brainwashing 101 right here. You know,
Yeah.
how can you categorize anybody? That's no different than saying that, oh, I don't like you because you black, or I don't like you because you Puerto Rican, I don't like you because you white. You stereotyping people. You don't know who's in here and who's what is what about. I ain't never did drugs in my life, so I ain't gonna never try to corrupt nobody into doing something about drugs. You see what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
they put a blanket, identification on everybody that's locked up, and they tell these people that when they come in. You know what I'm saying? And it's to no avail because people are going to like who they want to like. People are
Right.
going to do what they want to do. But for the most part, some of those people, they buy into that. Oh, don't talk to me. I don't want to say that. And they come in with a nasty attitude. And once they get away with it for a little while, then that's who they are.
Mhm.
That's who they become. And once they become a part of the system, man, it's over. I seen people come there the
Mm.
first year be nice and kind and cordial, and you see them 3 years later, a total metamorphosis, a
Wow.
total cussing, screaming, yelling, giving you charges, all types of stuff. So it's just like I say, it's a crazy world, man. It's a
Mm.
world that I'm imploring you not to have no parts of.
Yeah, I definitely don't want it. Oh goodness. Stuff said, what do you wish you would have done different?
Listen to my mother. I wish I would have listened to my mother. I wish I would have listened to people who knew what I needed when I didn't know what I needed. People who loved me when I didn't know that I was being loved.
Right.
People who gave me advice that was good for me when I didn't know it was good. That's what I wish I would have did different.
Mm.
Because everybody that I listened to, everybody that I depended on, everybody that I put stock in was the wrong people.
Yeah.
It was the wrong people. You see what I'm saying? Because when all of the chips fall, they was nowhere to be found. But these people stayed here for 33 years. You see what I'm saying? They stayed here for 33 years. They loved me through what I was going through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So these are the people that I should have been listening to, understanding, realizing that my life was more valuable than I placed on it myself. So those are the things that I wish I would have did different. I wish I would have been a better listener. I didn't start listening until I got in prison.
Mm.
You know, but I think we all have to be great listeners
Right.
in order to be great accomplishers. You have to be able to listen. You have to be able to take in information and apply that information. If you don't know how to do that, then you're not going to get nowhere. If you always think you're smarter than everybody else, then you already are the dumbest person in the room.
Yeah, I can get it. How did you like what were some of the things that you did in prison to help those days go by? Like, did you count them day by day? Like, oh, I'm striking off day one, off day two. Like, what was something you did daily, or what did you do to get through those days?
I worked out. I exercised.
Oh,
Exercise played a major role in making it through them days. Exercising, I got into reading at one point where I read tons of books. Reading, exercising, meditating, and like I say, listening. You know, older dudes who have been through a lot of things and been locked up for years and decades and stuff. You know, some of them, if you catch them, they want to give you advice. They want to, teach you. They want to, they want to get what they have on their chest off of their chest. You just have to be willing to listen to it. You see what I'm saying? And I was young enough and at that time, smart enough to pay attention to them. I knew what they were saying could be of value to me moving down the line. Because, like I say, when you have the amount of time that I have, you don't know if you're going to get out. You just hope you get out, but
yeah.
they don't have to let you get out. See, I didn't have to get out. They didn't even have to let me get out. I got a old cell partner in there right now. He got locked up same amount of time I did. He ended up being myself. I didn't know him before we went in, but he's actually a homeboy. But he got locked up. He's older than me, but he got locked up at the same time I did at 20. And here it is. I did 33. He's still locked up. He's in 40 years right now and going from 20. You see what I'm saying? From 20. And he doesn't even have a murder charge. So what can you say that has a person locked up for 40 years? And they ain't even took a life. You see what I'm saying? So, and then a lot of people who watch my YouTube Banky Pound, they know about Bo Billy, right? It's this dude that I talk about on my channel. This man has been locked up now. This year will be 50 years. 50 since he was 18. And he does not, I want this to be clear, he does not have a murder charge, has never killed anyone.
Wow.
Hasn't killed anyone inside the system. All that they said he did in the system, he still has not killed anyone. But yet locked up for 50 years. You see what I'm saying? So people don't understand that this is going on, and people will say, "Oh, well, he been locked up that long," and they just heard it. They'll automatically say, "Oh, he must have did all of this, or he did." He was. You got people who the people who killed Malcolm X ain't stayed locked up longer than I did. You see what I'm saying? So you got somebody who shot the president before who ain't stayed locked up longer than Bowman. Right. So you know what I'm saying?
Michelle says sometimes you got to study your own case because they will lock you up and throw away the key.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ruth said jailhouse attorneys are sometimes better than the ones on the streets.
They got more invested. They got more invested. They fighting for their own life, their own liberty. Most of the lawyers is fighting for the paycheck.
Yeah. Wow. Michelle said, anyway, once you're young, they holding you for at least 20 years. That's like crazy. Chaos said there was a judge around my way that was throwing the book at everyone and vowed to sentence 1 million years before he retired. And he did. Quite a bit of them ended up being overturned eventually. So they have goals set.
What I tell you, I'm trying to tell you, man, the game, like I say, the game is rigged. It's most definitely rigged. But, you know, like I say, with me, I preach, no matter how rigged it is, you got to don't even get in the game. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. I always say is a piece of philosophy to say, the best way to avoid any situation is to remove yourself from the equation.
Yeah.
If you can get this amount of time for dealing with drugs, I ain't dealing with drugs. If you can get this amount of time for playing with guns, I'm not playing with guns.
Right.
Get this amount of time for robbing, I'm not robbing nobody.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Remove yourself from the equation, and these things will never even apply to you. You see what I'm saying? What's harder than, you know, you applying yourself and going to school and going to college and putting that work in and whatever the professor may do, however long the hours may, it beats sitting in a cell, my brother, with nothing and nobody and around a bunch of hate 24/7, 365. Come on, man. It don't add up. It don't add up.
Definitely, Michelle. Trouble is easy to get into, but hard to get out of.
Oh, yeah. We used to call it the Roach Motel. You check in, but you ain't checking out. Ain't checking out, man. It's not that easy.
I see that now, Ruth. She said TV cannot compare to real prison.
Oh, no. All those is them just shows, man. The closest you can get to a movie or a TV show about prison is the way the prison might look. That's it. What's going on in there and how they doing it, that's going to be fictitious. It's going to be fictitious.
Chaos said it's true that they feed you food that they say is not for human consumption. What?
My brother that I just told y'all that did 40, he's worked in the kitchen most of his life in prison because he's a cook. he's actually seen the boxes come in, and it says on the boxes they have to remove the label, says not for human consumption.
I'm dead.
Yeah, man.
What?
Yes, and it's no coincidence that a lot of people, man, a lot. And I'm just saying this is factual. A lot of people who did as much time as I did, or around the amount of time I did, have gotten out lately and have come down with cancer. And I just, like, 2 people have died within the last 2 months. Dudes have called me. They got out, did 20 years, 25 years, and then they ended up having colon cancer or something like that.
Oh my
Eating that food. They don't even have a name for it. They don't call it pork. They don't call it beef. They don't call it poultry. They call it bulk meat. Bulk meat. You see what I'm saying? So I didn't eat it for decades and decades. Decades. You know, I would have starved before I, actually ate that. So, but that's what they feed every day. And yeah, I told you, prison is not meant for humans, period. Just like the labels say, not for human consumption, prison is not meant for humans, man. This is something that they came up with as an alternative for slavery. This is the pseudo slavery right here, man.
Wow. Tutu said, "Big bro, I was a new CEO. I wanted to keep a cold face to let the female inmates know not to play with me because we were led to believe that the inmates would turn you into ducks. I don't know what that means as far as ducks, but I
Yeah.
guess soft. I don't know."
Yeah. Well, see, that's the facade. You see what I'm saying? That's the facade. They're gonna tell you everything that is in line with their philosophy, everything that's in line with their agenda. You see what I'm saying? No one is going to tell you anything that's, whether it's true or not, if it don't line up with their agenda. You see what I'm saying? Their agenda. And the main people who are telling you that is probably the ones that's breaking the law even the most. Every institution I ever been on, it was a CO somewhere breaking the law and enforcing the law, telling you to lock up at this time, telling you that this is what this and this is what that, but yet at the same time, he bringing in this, he bringing in that, he's doing this, he's doing that. So they're enforcing the law and breaking the law. So what, you know what I'm saying? It's, it don't even add up. It don't add up.
I couldn't even Victoria said, "Chaos, they did where I was at, said not for human consumption right on the side of it." I can't even I don't know what to say on that one.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's if you saw it, you would know by looking at it that it wasn't meant. It's nothing that you would probably give to your dog.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Tutu said a duck is when they try and get you to give them things they are not supposed to have. So I think I know that's like contraband, right?
Right,
Like cell
right,
phones and can y'all
right.
have cigarettes and stuff in there?
At one point, they just took the cigarettes out, and when I was in there, they took the cigarettes out, and I think, like, I want to say 2010 or 11, somewhere around there, they took them out, but they had them in there at first, and then they took them out. So right now, that's the biggest money maker in prison.
Cigarettes?
Right before I left, you can get a pack of Newports in there, a pack of real cigarettes in there, and probably sell it for probably $250.
God dang on it.
Yeah.
So have you heard about this? I don't even know the name of it. It's something you can put on paper and they smoke it, I guess. I don't know what they do with it, but it's something you can buy off Amazon. Look at me.
I don't know about the Amazon, but they got everything in there. They got synthetic stuff. They got stuff you can put on paper. I've recently heard what you're talking about. Probably, I heard they could put that stuff on paper and get it in there and break it up, and it will come in.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard all of that.
Wow.
But I
So,
know dudes who got rich in prison off of illegal stuff. I mean,
wow.
rich. Yeah, rich.
So do like some of them pay the COs so they won't snitch on them, so they won't, hey, I gotta sell.
No, the COs is the ones who bringing it in. You can't get that stuff in there without a CO. You can get it in there without a CO, but you can't get bulks of it in there without a CO. How you gonna get pounds of weed in there without a CO?
Pounds? They be bringing like that much in
Listen, they
there?
got
God.
they get and then, a dude just told me. I just talked to one of my guys in prison there. He just told me about a couple of months ago. They just found like 30, 40 cell phones and about 4 pounds of weed and about 2 or 3 ounces of cocaine. So where is that gonna come from besides the office?
Yeah, I know it comes from them, but do the officers then turn and say, okay, now you gotta pay me? So no, because they brought it in, so they can't
No, they
even
get paid. They get paid up front to bring it in.
yeah, got you.
Right, they get
They're
paid
not
up.
gonna snitch later. How do you know that? Well, because they can say who brought it in, huh?
Yeah. So, and 9 times out of 10, they probably got more money than they was making on their check, and they probably looking for the next time. So they ain't trying to tell on nothing. If anything, what they're gonna do is double back and tell you that if the heat is on, hey, they looking at you, they know you might got something, they get ready to
Got
come at you. They gonna be your lookout, your liaison, as well as your mule that's bringing it to you. But they're gonna keep their ear to if anybody know that you getting some, they gonna come run and tell you, look, you better they know about you. You woo, woo, woo. Yeah, so it's a tricky game, man. It's a tricky game.
Tutu said, and if you give them one thing, they then force you to give them other things by threatening to tell the warden to lose your job.
Absolutely.
So you
Absolutely.
look like
That,
Chuck.
that kind of dude is called a sucker, Tutu. That's what he's called. He's a sucker. Yeah, he's a sucker.
Wow. Mm. Ruth said she never heard of that one. Chaos said, did you ever do time in Red Onion?
No, and gladly I didn't.
There
I was
must
right up under Red Onion. I was at Wallace Ridge, and I never went to Red Onion. Never wanted to go. Never wanted to go to Wallace Ridge, but unfortunately I did.
mm. Michelle, I guess she came in a little late. She asked, what was your charge? Y'all make sure y'all like, subscribe, Banky Pounds, YouTube, my YouTube, Let's Sip and Talk with Freema, like, subscribe, share.
And go to my other page as well, Banky Pound, Pure Deliciousness, new Super Bowl meal coming out.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
She asked, what was your charge?
My charge was murder and robbery. That was my charge. If you watched the first video I ever made, it explained everything that you want to learn.
And Chaos said, free Bo Billy.
Free Bo Billy, man. 50 years. 50 years. That's insane. That's insane.
That's
And like I say, when you put it in perspective, the man who shot the president is free. You know what I'm saying? The man who shot the president is free. The man who killed Malcolm X is free.
and he's still there. Tutu said, if you give them a pen and they should only have pencils, now they want you to give them cigarettes. And if you don't, they tell the warden and to try and get you fired or locked up. What? So, like you said, them suckers.
Yeah, them suckers.
Eddie.
Them suckers, right? Them suckers. See, dudes like that get beat up where I was at because they make it bad for anybody who might be wanting to do something for real and who might be genuine or who might be trying to, do whatever they trying to do. When you get dudes like that, yeah, they usually get beat up when they get found out. They get beat up, So,
Yeah.
like I say, man, I don't know, man. I've been going over in my mind trying to think of a prison movie that would best depict prison, closest to being accurate.
You trying to get my black card again because I probably didn't see it.
I've seen a lot of them, but I can't. I can honestly say I can't say one that's accurate. I just can't. You know what I'm saying? I've seen a lot of them because, like I say, every prison that I went to was different. But it still had an underlying baseline of what was, the norm.
Right.
but it's just gonna be, you know what I'm saying, different within the characters, the administration, the people that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, but the rules still the same.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And it's not being told out here, it's not being explained out here. And that's why these young dudes will watch it, or they'll see these dudes come home, or they do 2 or 3 years, and they come home and they give them these false information like, oh, I was all right, I was doing it. Man, they probably was getting, you know, drug in there.
Yeah.
But they don't want to tell you that. And they
Mm.
not going to tell you that. And then that's what I say, that's a sucker too. Someone who goes through something and want to see you go through it just because they went through it, instead of trying to prevent you from going through it because they know what it's like.
Like,
You see
so
what
I
I'm saying?
have a question pertaining to that. So when you get your cellmate, is it now y'all locked in? Like if he fight, I gotta fight, or it's gonna be beef between us? Like,
I mean, normally if you gonna stay in there with him, my rule of thumb was if you was good enough to sleep in there with me, then I ain't letting nobody bring no drama to you. You
gotcha.
know, because if I felt like you wasn't good enough to even be sleeping in there with me, or for me to try to, you know, defend you if some drama come to you, then
Mm-hmm.
you don't even need to be in my cell.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? You need to get up out of here. But like I say, the thing about that changed was you can't pick your cell partners no more. You can't pick them. The administration put them in there. Now, when I first got locked up, you get somebody in there you don't want to be with, you know, you telling you, hey, look, I ain't trying to hate you in here, man. Me and you ain't matching, whatever, whatever. And you know what I'm saying? If he don't want to listen to that, you do whatever you got to do, but he getting up out of it. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? They changed that too. You know what I'm saying? Now they can put anybody in there. They put somebody in there, you say, oh, look, you know, I don't rock with you. You got to go woo woo. Nah, they go to the people and tell the people, then the people will come tell you, either you let them in here, is any type of problem, then you need to pack your stuff, you going to jail. So they gonna move you, even if they bringing somebody in your cell, they're gonna move you, opposed to if you're giving that person any type of problem. And they can put anybody in your cell, anybody that they see fit. You could be a Muslim, they could put a Jewish dude in your cell. You could be a Christian, they could put a Buddhist in your cell. You know what I'm saying? You could be a racist, they could put a Muslim in there. They it's up to
Do
them.
they try to match like crimes?
They say they supposed to try to put some type of compatibility. That's not so.
Mm.
That's not
You
so.
have to deal with racism in prison? Like, was
Oh,
it like noticeably? I know that's probably crazy, but was it like noticeably, like with the inmates, with the COs? Was it a noticeable problem in there?
not on regular prisons. Not on regular prisons because unlike anywhere else in the world, in prison the black man dominates. You
Okay.
know, so it's gonna be 90% black people in prison anyway. So it ain't like white dudes in prison running prison. No prison I've ever been to. They ain't running no prison.
Mm-hmm.
But the administration is a different ballgame.
Right.
Then you're gonna have to deal with racism when you're dealing with administration, especially when you're talking about a place like Red Onion and Wallace Ridge, Augusta, uh, King Mountain. Man, those people is uncut racist. I mean, you're gonna have to deal with. I dealt with racism up in Wallace Ridge as if you was watching a Alex Haley movie, Roots or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they was up there. I'm
Mm.
yeah, real. I mean, realistically, tobacco chewing, spitting, calling you the N word right in your face, daring you to say anything about it because they got the gun on you.
Oh
They
God.
can shoot you. They got the dog attack dogs up there. They was nasty with it. That's the worst place I ever been in all of my time being locked up. They
Jeez.
was straight racist.
Ruth says she worked with males and didn't have many problems because she knew to get respect, you had to give respect.
Absolutely.
Chaos.
Most of the time, if you act like that and you give respect, then you know you ain't coming in there like you trying to straight abuse somebody or handle somebody and you respecting them. Most of the time, real dude's going to respect you for that.
Yeah. Mm. Chaos, and this is probably something he may answer tomorrow because we're doing a part 3. This is life after prison. tomorrow for part 3, Chaos. She said, did you have to do a reentry program being you were released on parole? If so, did it really help you with the transition back into society?
Yeah, I answer that when it's more
Tomorrow.
appropriate.
So he'll
Yeah.
answer that. Make sure you tune back in tomorrow, Chaos, where we're going to talk about life after prison for Banky Pound. Stuff said VA is Commonwealth laws are different here.
Yeah, they
Mm,
different too. They different too.
mm, 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 mm. I think they're still talking about the food. I think everybody can't get over that.
It's real. I didn't eat in the kitchen for probably about, I know it's over 20 years, but I'm trying to
So
say
you
like
had to buy it, and I know I'm probably going to mess this up, from the commissary. Is that what it's called?
back from the commissary or staff. I won't eat in that garbage. I won't eat. Only thing I ate out of the kitchen was fried eggs, sometime boiled eggs, and fried eggs, boiled eggs, and sometime they had hot dogs, and it depends on whether the hot dogs was made of beef or or something else. If it was made of something else, I ain't eat it. But
Mm.
for the most part, eggs and boiled eggs is the only. And sometimes they didn't even have real eggs; they had powdered eggs, so I didn't eat those. So if they didn't have real eggs or boiled eggs, I didn't eat anything out of the kitchen, breakfast, lunch, or dinner for the better part of 20 years.
Phew.
So yeah.
Um, Kushetta Parker said, what's your YouTube channel or your social media information?
My YouTube channel is Banky Pound on YouTube. Banky Pound Pure Deliciousness on YouTube. Two different channels. Um, my IG is Boxing Bank, which should take you straight to Banky Pound. I have a Facebook. I don't know what it is.
How did all this social? Oh, that's tomorrow. Look at me about to
Yeah,
go into life
yeah,
after, because I'm gonna ask you about social media tomorrow.
yeah, yeah. It's yeah.
Oh God! They say they're looking forward to the new recipe on Pure Deliciousness Banky Pound,
Got to
baby.
get that Super Bowl recipe before the Super Bowl.
Before the Super Bowl Sunday, y'all. Make sure y'all
Yeah.
get that recipe. Go check it out. Shawshank Redemption Prison reminds me of Pics of the Wall.
It looks like it. The yard definitely looks like the wall was. That's how it was. When you walk in the cell block and you see how those cells was, that's how the cells was too. In the wall and in the penitentiary, Powhatan.
Mm.
Powhatan and the wall looks just like Shawshank Redemption. That's how it looked on the inside. That's how the yard looks. But you see how some of them police was, how they was, you know, beating you and carrying them in there like that officer in Shawshank Redemption, that they would do that to you, especially up there in the mountains. When they get them handcuffs and stuff like that on you, that's what they'll do to you. But when you see how the warden was to Andy Dufresne, how he handled him and made him do what he wanted to do because he had the power and the authority over his life, that is real.
Mm.
They can do you any kind of way they want to do you. And what can you do?
Right.
What you gonna do? Call your mama?
Nothing.
You know, call your wife, call your daddy. It ain't nothing they can do. They listening to your phone calls, they already know what you're telling the people out there. It ain't nothing you can do. Whatever you say, they're gonna deny it. Whatever they say, you're a convicted felon, they don't believe you. It's just like that. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I'm trying to say. You cannot, if you own these streets right now and you doing bad or you struggling or whatever, man, you in a privileged position because you out here on these streets. That is the key word. But once you get behind that wall, my brother, your fight becomes 1,000% times harder than whatever you got going on out here.
Mm, 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 mm.
1,000%, my brother. Because you can be doing bad out here today and be bounced
Absolutely.
back next week.
That's the truth.
You not bouncing back in there until they let you bounce back.
Mm.
I told a story when I talked to them dudes. I spoke at Elizabeth City State University, and I told him, like, when you in there, like, chess is an ego game, because everybody want to be smarter than the next person,
Right.
So when you do play chess and say I play this dude and he beat me 10 games in a row, which it ain't gonna happen with me. I'm just saying hypothetically, you know. But he beat me 10 games in a row. So then when I finally beat him, I want bragging rights. So he said, "Oh, running back, you got lucky." And I knocked the pieces. I don't want to play no more. I want the bragging rights instead. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is when you get locked up. See, when you get locked up, you stop playing checkers out here on the street. Now they playing chess. And then when you get locked up and oh, I'm sorry, I know better now. No, they knock the pieces over. They don't want to play no more. You see what I'm saying? Now, I had to wait 33 years for them to set the pieces back up. See what I'm saying? And when they did and I won, and even though I'm out here right now, they still trying to set the pieces back. They won't play some more because they won't bring me back. But I leave them knocked over because I said, I don't want to play no more.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's how life is, man. When you out here in the game, don't take yourself out the game by falling for some foolishness, some misinformation, some dudes that don't know no more than what you know. Some dudes that's going to be telling you the same thing now 10, 15 years from now. I done went to prison for 33 years and came back home and seen dudes that I grew up with doing the same thing they was doing when I left. And that hurt me to my heart.
I can imagine.
It really did. It hurt me to my heart, man. The exact same things. And I'm in there thinking, all I'm missing, all that's going on. These cats doing the same thing they was doing when I was out here. Only thing changed is their age.
It's the age.
But not their mentality.
Crazy. You know how, I don't know if you ever heard this, and it's probably something I made up. Do you feel like you're preserved when you go to prison? But probably not. I take it back now because of the food. You get what I'm saying?
But see, in prison, that's an old saying. But even though in prison, it's an initiative. You got to take the initiative yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to, want to take care of yourself because it's some dudes in there that ain't preserved at all because they don't care at all. You got some cats in there laying in bed all day long, every day, don't get up for nothing, don't care about nothing, because they feel like their life is over and like, well, this is what it is. Woo, woo. You got to be self-motivated.
Yeah.
You got to be self-motivated. You got to get up because it will wear you down. It will wear you down if you let it. You see what I'm saying? Everything starts right here. This is the engine to everything, man. When you tell yourself what you're going to do, what you need to do, what you will do, this right here starts everything. Right. Once you put it in there, it's ball game. I don't care who it is. They can't stop you. You're unstoppable once you put it in your mind. You're unstoppable.
What's that? Oh, the cup and pen.
Hey, man. Hey.
Okay. Let's talk with Freema.
Let's sit and talk with Freema and write us a letter.
Yes. A pen. You can
I appreciate this. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
I will put it to good use.
Kishma said, Banky, is not too late, but you only need an associate to study law, I think. If you feel you should study law to help inmates, you're smart, and I think you will do well. All right, Kishma.
I appreciate that. I'm trying to I'm a human studier. I study humans every day, and I try to enlighten humans on anything that I find out that might be new or important. Yes. That's what I want to do. I want to enlighten brothers, and I want to educate them because I tell people, man, I'm not perfect, man. I wasted a lot of time in prison, a whole lot of time trying to survive and trying to understand and trying to hustle and do all the things I was trying to do. When from day one, if I put myself in that position from day one, I should have been fighting to try to get out of that position. But we get brainwashed into thinking that they give us this amount of time and our lawyer says this and this is what we got to do. That is incorrect. It's incorrect. You can always change your circumstances. The more you know, the further you go. Educate yourself. Don't take on face value what someone tells you. This is how it is. This
Mm,
is what it is. This is the end all, the be all. That is not true, because that is a man, and man is flawed, and man is misinformed.
right.
So inform yourself, educate yourself, find out for yourself. When I got busy and said to myself, man, I got to get out of here. I can't, I just can't. And I started studying, and I stopped, working out, and I stopped playing basketball, and I stopped doing this, watching TV. I got into them books. I got into that library. I started studying, and I created my own program, and I started looking at things and seeing things and learning things different. And then before you know it, it took 2.5 years. Then I'm out of prison.
Wow.
But I did 33.
Yeah.
But I didn't apply all of that that I applied that I didn't think was in me
In,
till like the last 2 or 3. You see what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
You have to apply yourself. Don't take things for face value.
Yeah.
You know, apply yourself. When I started seeing dudes leaving, and I was like, well, what about me? What about me? But I didn't know what they was doing. I didn't know their circumstances. See what I'm saying? You can change your own circumstances by putting that work in.
Right.
And that's why I say don't take none for face value, man. Study, do your research, do your background, and figure it out. If it means enough to you, you'll dig into
What
it.
I've noticed, even just working, while I work in a doctor office, like we may have a sign up or something, sign if this, da, da, da. No one reads Banky. No one reads. And when I say I get rage for it, I know it sounds crazy, but it's like, that's for diabetic shoes. That is not for, it's like, read before you sign this stuff. Read to be knowledgeable.
Right.
Like, I mean, oh, you'd be surprised at how many people do not read.
It's brainwashed because you work in an office, right? And we've been brainwashed to believe that, to look at authority, to look at, if you see a white man in a suit, and he pull out and he get out here in a suit and he walk over to you and he start telling you to do this, that, and the thing, you would automatically assume that he knew what he was talking about, that he's a person in position before
Right.
you even ask who he is.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Because that's the brainwashing that's already been, impregnated in your mind.
Yep.
And it's the same thing. People say, because you work there and you give me this paper that say sign, well, I ain't got time to read it. She got to be telling the truth. But you can be signed over your life insurance. You
Yes.
can be, so that's the brainwashing. So you have to, like I say, you have to do your due diligence, man. And there's a lot of people getting over on the fact that other people won't, do their due diligence. You see what I'm saying? So you got to do what you got to do, man. I ain't even signing nothing. They didn't already try to trick me since I've been out here already.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
I ain't even signing nothing unless I read it, unless I understand what it is. And if I don't know, I'm not ashamed to ask.
Exactly.
I'm not ashamed to ask, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
I ask a lot of questions. I
yeah,
do, it's pertaining to me, my life.
yeah,
I'm gonna ask. I don't
yeah.
care how you feel about it.
I don't care.
Don't
Yeah,
ask.
they can say I'm the dumbest person on earth, but I won't dumb enough not to ask you
Exactly.
what is this? Yeah,
Exactly.
what is this?
Exact way. Banky Pound, I appreciate you tonight. Like, I enjoyed the conversation. I'm glad this is a rock or a hill or whatever you want to call it, that you're now past, and now we can talk tomorrow about your life now. And like, hey, I said, how did you transition back
Right.
into society? So I can't wait to talk to you tomorrow. I think we'll be doing noon tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah, we'll try to do noon. We'll try to do that time right there. If
Oh,
anything changes, we try to touch base. But yeah, I'm gonna try to
absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate this. Is there anything that you want to put out there in the universe that we did not discuss tonight that you want to just say?
I just want to tell people out there, just like on the same thing that we've been talking about, do not take life for granted, man. Do not take it for granted, man. And as I always say, man, do what you got to do right now. You'll be able to do what you want to do later on, but you have to do what you got to do right now, you know. And I don't care how hard it get, how tough it get. I'm promising you, it's better out here than it is in there.
Yeah.
So don't take no chances. Don't throw no bricks at the penitentiary. Don't do none of that foolishness if you out there, young men and young women. You know, Think about what you do. Do not do what you think.
Right.
Think about what you do, because like I say, only you are going to be able to pay for whatever you do in this world, man. And I'm telling you right now, the lowest form you can be on above ground is without your liberty.
Mm.
Without your liberty, to be told what to do, when to do, how to do, if to do. And you're a grown person. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
never ever put yourself in that position, man. And as I say always, man, be safe, be smart, make good decisions. If you do those three things, your life will turn out much, much better, man. Salute and shout out to Alan Williams for bringing me on this and making this connection. Shout out to Prince, the Investor Show. Shout out to everybody out there on TBP, man. I appreciate y'all's support. I appreciate the love. And we're going to keep on moving in 2022. Shout out to everybody who support Let's Sip and Talk with Freema
Thank
Kennedy.
you.
So we gonna keep rolling in 2022. We're gonna support each other. That's what we're supposed to do. Each one teach one, and someone learns something from that.
Absolutely.
Someone grows from that. That's how we build up our community. That's how we build up our businesses. That's how we build up our life. That's how we build up our self-pride and esteem.
I love it. I love it. And he summed it up for us, you guys. Thank everybody for tuning in. Banky Pound, thank you. Your viewers came on tonight. Your support came on. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to all of you. We really do appreciate it. As we always say on Let's Sip and Talk with Freema, peace and love.
Salute.